Audio on.
Hey guys, how are y'all doing? We're here with Jonathan Weisman. We got JWeis live. However, we almost didn't make it today, did we, bud? What's going on, man?
Man, it's been a rough 10 hours. Just having some back issues, man. Every once in a while, every 6 months, my back just starts tripping on me. And typically I can, eat a painkiller and it goes away. Next day I'm good. Mm-hmm. And it's been going on for like 48 hours and it has just been miserable to where I just couldn't take it anymore. So about 3 o'clock this morning, went to the ER and got checked in. They threw me in a bed and started filling me up with medicine to get rid of the pain. So you might notice some of that medicine still lingering on a little bit.
Hey, well, man, it's gonna definitely make for a good show then, man. So,
shoot. Well, I didn't want to miss it. We make commitments.
Absolutely.
I was in the hospital from 3 a.m. to 6 something. Drove home, showered up, got ready, drove here, and started my work day.
Awesome.
That's what it's about, being an entrepreneur.
That's right, man.
You got shit to do. Make sure you handle it, whatever it takes. Now, might look or sound a little under the weather, but we're still going to try to make this happen. So appreciate everybody tuning in. Yep. This episode is going to be on e-commerce.
That's right.
Or taking businesses online. I know we had questions coming in. If y'all have any questions about e-commerce, about online businesses, about shopping cart systems, platforms, anything related to selling products or services online, feel free to drop those in the comments now. And Aaron will get those asked and I'll try to answer them for you.
Great, man. Well, before we get any, kind of into any questions, when it comes to e-commerce, I don't know. I know a lot of people, man. I don't know anybody else that's got your kind of background and then success. So just quickly share with us, man, kind of how'd you get into e-commerce, I guess you could say, and then talk about your ups. Maybe later we'll talk about your downs, but start us off.
Yeah, there's probably just as many downs as there are ups. Back in the day when I was owning club businesses, my brother and I decided to launch a online supplement company.
Okay.
And it started off as a side project and then lended itself to be an exit strategy for me to retire from the club business. The club business was fun when I was in my 20s, maybe even early 30s. But once you start climbing those age ladders, it's a lifestyle. It's not a job. So coming home at 4, 5, 6 in the morning, wasn't working. Wasn't seeing my kids grow up, wasn't spending quality time with the family, worked every freaking holiday, including birthdays. So it was just time to hang up my hat and chatted with my brother about it, worked out an agreement to where I was going to exit the club business and run our supplement company full time. And that's when we got started. I think that was about, 2000, don't let me lie, it was about 8 years ago. Was that 2012? So we launched the company 2012. I actually started running it in 2013. And what started off with one product ran out of a home office. I'll remember I was paying myself $4,000 a month. I took a big pay cut to go run this company. Paid myself $4,000 a month, and then I think $8 per unit that I sold.
There you go.
And that's what I had to go off of. And, I was used to a 6-figure income. So transitioning, it was either you bust your ass and you sell some units, or it's not going to work out because I had commitments. So luckily, I was utilizing my skills, what I had known and learned in the past. And we took that brand to, over the course of 6 years to a worldwide company, sold in just about every country worldwide, a global brand, did very high numbers, and it was a great success.
Awesome, man. So talk to us a little bit, we're going to kind of get into this, I guess, as we go, but I just wanted to kind of take a step back and and say that, when I've encountered some people that have started in e-commerce, and this is just what I've encountered, is that I run into a lot of times people think it's getting Shopify or getting whatever their, where they want their store to be, throwing up some products online, and then that's it. That's e-commerce, man. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. It is considered e-commerce. That's what a lot of people think, and a lot of people that I work with is, if they build it, it will come.
Right.
Or if you build it, they will come. And that's not the case. The first task is, of course, getting a website, having a shopping cart, connecting it to your merchant services and any other third-party softwares that you use for your administrative side of things to run your operations. So the first part is building what I'll call your infrastructure or your digital assets, internally as well as user-facing, which would be the website. That is part one. Part two is generating traffic to that site. Without the traffic, you're not going to sell anything. You can have the most beautiful website, spend $50,000 on it, but if nobody knows about it, they're not going to find you. So you have to figure out ways how to generate traffic, which is obviously the number one thing that I do with JWeis, but that's the biggest part. Without traffic, you're dead in the water. Once you kind of get past those hurdles or put together those strategies, it is then learning, and what I find most people realize is that there's so many other angles to it that they haven't thought about. And there's many different ways to optimize those angles. And, just selling on your website is one form of a revenue stream.
Right.
There are, 6 to 8 other ways to generate money from that asset for selling your product. And most people aren't aware of those. Anybody getting into the business, many of them aren't aware of it. Many of them don't take advantage of it, or they don't know how to do it efficiently or optimally. So, or they might think it's too much of a headache, so they just don't worry about it. But what I find is most people don't even know it exists. So building it is one thing, marketing it is another, optimizing it, have a solid back-end administrative infrastructure so that you can process and offer good quality service, and then realizing and understanding what those other 5 to 10 revenue streams could be to really help you take that company and blow it up. Easy numbers. If your website is doing $100,000 a month in sales, and all you're doing is just selling direct to consumer on your website, and that's it, you could probably double those sales in a 3 to 6 month period. And this is, no bullshit, not fake numbers. Whatever you're doing, if you're not implementing all these other things, you could probably double your sales in 3 to 6 months if executed properly, and you integrate all of those third-party opportunities or revenue stream opportunities.
Excellent. And I think you've shared a couple of those, some of your success that you currently have going on right now on Facebook.
Yeah.
Correct? Yeah.
We've, data don't lie.
Data don't lie. There you go. Yeah. I love those posts. And the reason why I love them is because, one, you show transparency in your work. And I think that's very important. And we're going to talk about how to have that transparency. But that's why, one, I like it. But two, it's kind of you're backing up what you're talking about,
I mean, it's exactly what it's, data doesn't lie. And there's a lot of people out there, especially now with everybody's becoming an online marketer, or you've got all these coaches that are going to coach you on how to build a business,
right? But
they've never built their own business, or they're going to tell you how to do marketing or Facebook marketing, and they've never spent their own money. It's a lot different when you do pay-per-click campaigns on AdWords. If you're an agency and you have a client that's giving you $10,000 a month to do pay-per-click for their company, and you're running their campaigns, you're A/B testing, you're getting them results, at the end of the day, it's still not your money. It's the client's money. So you might be managing a $10,000 a month budget, Or, if you got 100 clients, you can say, I'm managing $1 million budget a month or a year, but it's not your money. It's completely different when you're managing a $10,000 a month nut or budget that is money out of your pocket, to where if you fail, it stings. If you do good, you reap those benefits. So that's all of my marketing background comes from millions of dollars that we've spent, and that's over the course of several years. But, I have spent millions and millions of dollars in advertising, pay-per-click, Facebook, Instagram, social media, YouTube video marketing, SEO. All of this money that I've invested has been my own money out of my own pocket or my own company's pocket that were invested into these campaigns. So that if we didn't get a return, it hurt. So it's a big difference when somebody's using their own money to advertise versus using a client's money. And if the campaign sucks or they fail or they don't get the return, worst thing that happens to them is they get fired and they have to go find a new client.
Right.
Wow, big deal. So, there's a lot of people out there, and there's a lot of great people out there too. I'm not knocking everybody. I mean, there's tons of people that do amazing things out there in marketing. But there's a big difference in, doing it with your own money versus hiring somebody that isn't doing it with their own, learning on their own dime. But going back to what I was saying, there's a lot of people out there that think they're these gurus or agents. You go silence that, Ty. Just put it on silent, please. Hector got it. So anyhow, that's what I don't remember where we were.
Oh, we were talking about, you're good. This is the beauty of being live. So, but no, we were talking about, data doesn't lie. And
yeah, so it doesn't lie. So I like to back up what I do. It's from a very early age, my brothers used to tell me, don't tell me, show me. And that is something that has stuck with me my whole life. And it's real easy to talk a good game, especially when it comes to digital marketing or SEO, or, you can start using all these technical terms that the client doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about. So you can basically bullshit your way through anything, and they have no way to fact check it unless, they're busy doing what they're doing. They don't know your industry. So you can start talking about link building strategies and citations and, canonical content, and start throwing out these big words, and they don't know what you're talking about, and they're just shaking their head. But I like to show data first. Look, this is what I'm doing with my own companies. This is what I'm doing for my clients. These are true numbers. These are factual. The data doesn't lie. It shows you how, we've taken a company from doing $2,000 a month to $100,000 a month over X amount of months. How we've gotten online services. We'll take a client's budget of $15,000 over a 6-month period, but it turned into a $150,000 return. So and these are real numbers. And the reason why I show it too, it's really important for people to understand that it takes balls to invest into me or into my company and our style of marketing. If your budget's only $1,000 a month, unfortunately, it's not going to meet my requirement to work with us.
Sure.
But we do offer consulting services. So I will consult hourly for companies that can't afford me, and just be like, look, basically you hire me for an hour, I'll consult, I'll give you the strategies, and then you can go find a more cost-effective solution to execute it for you, so that you can still get the fucking dynamite, badass strategies. You just need somebody else to execute. Mm-hmm. But for the ones that can afford us, we don't just do marketing for companies and get them a little return. Don't spend $1,000 to get $1,200 back, or $1,000 to get $1,500. So I spent, $12,000 this whole year, and I made $18,000. With all due respect, big fucking deal. Mm-hmm. I know people got to start small and start somewhere, but that is a typical marketing company that's just going to show you some type of return. They'll take whatever amount of money you have, even if it's $300 a month. They'll take that $300 and pray that they're going to get you back $350 or more. Let's just say $400. So If they can make you that 30% increase, it's like, hey, we're doing our job. Keep retaining me. Keep paying me. And as I've said many times, most marketing companies, their churn rate's 4 months. They want to bring you on. They promise you the world. They work really hard for 2 or 3 months. And if they're lucky, they figure something out and they get you a return. If not, it goes stale. You fire them and then they move on to the next one. So what I do, I'm not in that business. You know, I don't even really call myself an agency. I'm a digital strategist that has a team of people that execute my strategies. And we don't just do marketing and get paid. We actually build brands and scale them. It's not about, you know, you spending $2,000 and me making you a return of $3,000, so there's $1,000 profit margin. I'm trying to figure out how over 12 months to where month 1 you invest $2,000. Month 1 I might get you back $2,000 because we're A/B testing. By month 3 or 4, we should have doubled up by then. You should be spending $4,000 and I should be getting you $8,000 back. By the third quarter, we should be at least 15 to 20 grand investment where you're getting back 30 to 60 grand return on that. By the end of the year, we're now at a $50,000 investment and I'm making you 200 grand. So we might start small with $2,000 at the very beginning, but by the end of that year, I'm trying to make you a couple $100,000 minimum.
Right.
Because you're going to spend 50 minimum. My get-in's 50 grand a year. My goal is off my clients, you know, the goal is for me to make 6 figures plus. So if I'm going to make 100 grand off you as a client, I need to be making you at least $500,000. So that's not being your marketing agency. That's being your digital strategist that is really here to help you grow and scale your business. But the only way to do that successfully and in a somewhat quick time frame in 12 months is you have to have the balls and you have to have the capital to invest so that I can get you those type of results. And the only way that I'm going to bring on clients that trust me is by showing them data don't lie. This is what I've done with my other clients over the years. This is what I've done with my own companies. This is what I can do for you. You trust me, we'll blow your shit up. And if I can't, I know before I get my feet wet in this, if I can help you or not. So when I say it has to be a good fit, if you're in a business model that I don't know shit about, it's saturated, I can't make you a good return, I can't make any promises, I'm going to politely decline doing business with you because it's not worth it for me. You know, it's not worth it to fuck with my reputation.
Sure.
From having 100% success rate. It's not worth burning a bridge with you as a client. Most likely, all my clients come from referral, so it's going to make shit weird with whoever we mutually know. I much rather get into, let's just say, a lawyer. I know how to dominate for attorneys. If you're, I don't even know what to think of. If you're a company that I can't do business with, that's the problem is every single person I've worked with, we've gotten results. If Dallas Cowboys, if you're a licensing company and you want to license NFL logos, I don't know shit about that. I wouldn't even know where to start.
Right.
It's not really my realm. It's not worth my time. It's not worth, I call it bandwidth. I don't want to spread myself thin and you know, what would normally take 20% of my bandwidth to run and operate for a client, this is going to take 60% because I don't know what the fuck I'm dealing with. I'd rather just say thanks but no thanks and find somebody else to do business with.
I like it, man. And, you know, and I think, so we're going to talk a little bit more about data, but we have a couple people just joining us. So if you're here, thanks for joining us. We're JWeis Live. I'm here with Jonathan Weisman. I'm Aaron Morellis, and we're talking about e-commerce today. We're talking about e-commerce. So
what up, people?
Yeah, we just did a little intro. We talked about some of the history, talked about some ups. Maybe we'll talk about downs later. I don't know.
I've got a good down. You'll love.
But before we get into that, we had the data don't lie. And if you want to see more of that, make sure you're checking out Jonathan Weisman's Facebook page.
I removed some of them.
Yeah, you shouldn't have. I like them.
I know. I just did it because it was starting to clutter where all you saw was graphs and screenshots. And I was like, man.
But I just want to remind the viewers, those are great places for you to ask questions about the data.
For sure.
I think those are great places. And those are, and not only that, and then, you know, bringing those questions onto the show. But ask questions. I mean, that's why we're doing this. And so let's talk about data really quick. I encountered recently someone looking at some data inside of what was going on in their e-commerce, and I think something to be mindful of is key performance indicators, like what you're looking at. Because I think it's one thing to say, all right, here's my success, but then like you talked about optimization of it, right? So it's like how to make it better. So it's like, so my question to you is, what are some in your experience key performance indicators you should be looking at? Because sure, no duh, sales. Obviously, I'm going to look at my sales volume, but what do I need to dive into maybe deeper on my Shopify or whatever I'm using? What do I need to be looking at?
It's crazy. These days, there's data in everything. And that's really what I do. I'm a data miner. I look at the data tells me what to do. On the front end, there's some strategies and ideas and thought process that go into it. But once you start executing, it really comes down to data. Data tells you everything. So whether it's marketing campaigns, whether it's Google Analytics, looking at on the back end to see how things are performing, what's converting, what your click-through rates are. If you're looking from a customer service side, if you're using, who are we using for CSR? If you're, the data will tell you how long it takes you to answer your phone.
Okay.
How long it takes you before you respond to a chat. How many chats are you responding to an hour? Within that hour, how many of those chats were responded to in 10 seconds versus 2 minutes? So looking at all that data can let you know how to improve upon your customer service, or if you need to or not, if you're dropping the ball anywhere. All of the numbers that we use are ghost numbers, or also known as hosted numbers, where we record every conversation. We're looking to see how long we're staying on those phone calls, what phone calls we're missing. We can even go back and secret shop and listen in on those actual phone calls to make sure that our staff is, hitting their sales properly or the rebuttals properly, whatever their pitches are. So there's a lot of different ways that we can take data from every single metric, platform, third-party integration, website that we're using and analyze all that data. I mean, we drop heat maps on websites just to see where people scroll, what they hover over, where they click. I can look at on the homepage of my website, if there was 100,000 people that landed there, I can tell you from what platform they came from, what browser they were using, where they scrolled, what they liked, what they didn't like, if they scrolled down the page, if they clicked here. I mean, there's 1,000, and I'm not exaggerating, there's 1,000 different metrics that you can check on heat maps. And crazyegg.com is one we've used, so y'all can check that out to learn a little bit more about that. But there are metrics on your website, on the user-facing side, on the back end, on the admin, on your customer service, your marketing campaigns. Data is everything, and you want to use that to the fullest because it tells you where to go.
I like it. Yeah, key performance indicators I think they're a big part of it. And kind of like you said, there's your KPIs on the marketing side, there's your KPIs especially on inside of your e-commerce side and Shopify and whatnot. So those are great, but you hit on a couple of things we're going to talk about in a minute. But I want to talk about secret shopping in a second. I want to pick your brain on that. Before we get there, I want to talk about competitive pricing. So I'm going to give you a scenario here. Let's say I own a t-shirt biz, right? And I used to do this. I used to create, fun graphic t-shirts. I'm throwing them out there. But, my sales, maybe my sales are doing okay. Maybe I want to make them better, but maybe something I didn't do was, should I be going out and looking at what other graphic t-shirt companies are pricing? How do I do that? How do I, successfully, I guess you could say, look at the market and competitive price? What has been your experience with that?
I used to own a t-shirt business, by the way.
There you go.
Way back in the day. New shit. For those of y'all that remember that back in the day. Pricing. Yes, you can do some competitive analysis to see what's going on in that industry or in the marketplace for those products or goods. And you can stay within that area. If you're not producing them yourself and you're reselling somebody else's, they might give you minimum requirement map pricing, the minimum advertised price that you can sell those shirts at. So there's a couple different things to look at. Me personally, with all my companies, I always wanted to be on the higher end of pricing. I wanted to be, call it a luxury brand for lack of knowing what to call it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be luxury, but I always wanted to be on the higher tier of stuff. So I would spend the extra, t-shirt. Let's just say you sell a t-shirt. Shit, I see them selling for $40 now just for a graphic t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. The difference between a Hanes 50/50 cotton polyester blend versus a American Apparel, tri-blend that is comfortable, cut right. The difference from
like a glove.
Absolutely. The price, this isn't one. The price is a difference from you on the manufacturing side or the producing side is a $3 difference. But on the consumer side, it's the difference between selling some piece of shit shirt for $12 or the best freaking shirt on the market for $29.99. And I never understood it. I don't get why people don't invest a little bit more on the front end so that you can maximize on the back end. So that's an example of quality and how to tie in the pricing to that or have a higher price point for your product. But it really also comes down to experience. If you're doing a St. Patty's Day t-shirt and you do it on the tri-blend, there's 1,000 other tri-blend Patty's Day t-shirts out there. So what's going to differentiate you from those? And why, if you want to sell it for $10 more than everybody else, what is going to allow you to do that and do it successfully? It is the experience of the purchase. It's the experience when they receive the product, and it's the post-purchase experience as well. And that's what's going to be the game changer. Let me rephrase it. I don't know that data to be true or not, but I will say a lot of people are just more focused on getting the sale. And that is what their goal is. That's their KPI, getting the sale. And they don't think anywhere further beyond that. So for me, it's getting the sale, of course, but it's also about the experience. The experience they have when they go to our website, how user-friendly it is, how engaging it is. There's interaction on there. You can see videos. You can see people talking about the item that you're buying. You can actually see it in real use with videos. You can see podcast interviews about the products from maybe some of the customers, some client testimonials. So it's that experience when you get there, you build that credibility and you explain what that item is and exactly what you're getting, and even see a couple of people talking about it that have bought it, used it, and they approve. That's part one. Part two is when you receive it in the mail, it's all about the unboxing experience.
Right.
If you, in several instances, the packaging for my products costs more than the actual product. So a cream, do we have any samples here? One of our creams, topicals that we do, it costs, for easy numbers, $5 to make. We sell it for $40 online. So it's, $35 profit margin, great numbers, great margins. You can get a simple box. One, you don't even have to have packaging. You throw it in a fucking bubble mailer and mail a bubble mailer and it shows up like that, which we did when we started out. Now what we do is, we spend $5 on the packaging. It's like anybody that's opened up a MacBook Pro or an iPhone.
Yeah.
There's packaging, there's cellophane, there's, little doodads in their compartments. I mean, it's an amazing experience when you open up those phones from Apple. And so you want to create that same type of experience when you're selling one of these products. And you can do that at a low price point. I mean, at $5, you can give somebody that experience. So the difference of me selling whatever that item is, when my competitors are selling it and sending it in a bubble mailer for $15, I'm sending it in that custom box, and then that box also has to be shipped in a box. You can't ship it in a bubble mailer. So it's going to cost me an extra $1 on the extra box I got to buy. It's going to cost me $5 more for the custom box. Then I had to put that custom box in a shipping box so that the custom box doesn't get damaged.
Right.
Feel me? So that's 2 boxes that I have to buy now. And that other, brown cardboard box, I want to get that customized with my logo on it or some cute little saying on the side of the box. So when people see it at the door, see it in the mail, they know that's coming from me.
Right.
In addition to that, I'm going to pay 5 times the amount for postage. So where a bubble mailer is $1.36 to mail in a bubble mailer, let's say it was a t-shirt, goes out bubble mailer, I'm making the shirt, I'm sending out for $1.36. Well, now because that t-shirt comes in a dope ass box, that box comes in another box, I'm paying $5 for shipping. So my cost of goods went from $5 plus $1.36, $6.36 on the bubble mailer t-shirt. Over here, it jumped up to around $12. Big difference on what my cost of goods sold and shipping are. What was it, $6-7 difference?
Right.
But I can charge an extra $20, $30 on the back end for the same item, as well as when it shows up, the end user gets that unboxing experience. And then what's so great about that is when you start talking about influencer marketing and you're getting people to post pictures of that. You want people posting a picture of your shirt that is just a shitty ass shirt and a bubble mailer, or would you rather them show that whole beautiful unboxing experience that brings value, it brings quality, the luxurious factor, the wow factor, to let people know that this isn't some I'm sure there's things you bought on Amazon before, good brands and non-good brands. Let's just say lip balm. A tub of lip balm shows up, and when you get the Amazon box, you can shake it and hear it. You open it and there's nothing in there but that little lip balm bouncing all around. And I don't care if it's a shitty brand or if it's Carmex or one of the best brands on the market. It's just a letdown. At least to me it is. It's like, what a shitty experience. They got my thing flopping around, no telling, it's for me, I don't like it. But if that Carmex was inside of another box and it was shipped in a box that was the right size in the first place, and there was a tissue paper, there was some cellophane, there was some unboxing to it, it just makes for a whole lot better experience. And I believe that you can take advantage of that as an extra revenue stream and benefit from it.
Couldn't agree more. And back in 2017, I was helping a guy out doing some work on a scrub company that he was starting to build up and develop, and we did some competitive pricing, and we looked at this brand these Fig scrubs, and my God, these usually scrubs, I think were like, $25 to $30. These scrubs were like, $60, $70 scrubs. I was like, who the hell's gonna pay that much? But then you go to their site and you see the experience. You see them explain, this is what your typical scrub will fit you like. This is what the Fig scrub experience will fit you like. Then we ordered some, and you talk about the unboxing experience. I mean, scrubs weren't even for me to wear, and I wanted to put the shit on. So, and I think you're right. And I think it's about that experience. And in Amazon, we've gone, it's such different ways. People value that speed, but I completely agree with you. Even when I get like cans of dog food, man, they used to put that in the largest damn box, and it's flopping around, it breaks, and then half the time your stuff breaks. So, yeah, I'm right with you on that. So we're talking about competitive pricing, and I want to move into secret shopping, man. Okay. Because I've been a secret shopper before, but I'm gonna turn it back over to you. How do you approach secret shopping for your own brands? And then have you ever done it when you're starting, maybe working with a company, and you want to know what other brands are doing whenever you're trying to get insight on that market? You've ever done that? Take it away.
I have called competitors when I've launched new businesses. So I've called the top competitors in those industries. I've actually bought the product, both from their website directly as well as from Amazon, so that I can see what each one of those experiences are. Also, when you buy those products, if they have automation set up, you get added to whatever their automation is. Email, newsletters, whatever the case might be. So it's a form of competitor spying, but it's also seeing how they answer the questions, how knowledgeable they are on their product, if they're in-housing that, or if they're outsourcing it to call centers overseas, call centers locally. There's a lot that you can find out by contacting people acting like you're a real client and vetting that process. So definitely I do that towards competitors in several different businesses, both e-com as well as service-related companies. I have been known to...
this is going to be good. Here we go. Because I see the smile coming.
I mean, I secret shop my staff. My sales department, my customer service department. As I was talking about earlier, all the different platforms that we use, all the data, it's all recordable. Your chat systems, your phone calls, your text messages, your support tickets, all of that is saved, and you can analyze all of it. I just did it like 3 days ago. I called my customer service line on the hour every hour just to make sure that the phone was getting answered. I did it about 6 weeks ago, and they picked up half the calls. We had a nice meeting about it. And when I did it last week, every single call got answered. So that was a way of doing it. I've had other people, so they don't recognize my phone number and my voice. I've had other people that I know, do some secret shopping from their phone. And, just, it's not like you're trying to stump them, or stop them in their tracks or really, mess them up. I don't want to do that. But you definitely want to have another pair of ears and eyes on it, or kind of see what type of experience your customers are getting. And it's just as important as the unboxing experience as it is the phone call experience. Even if you're calling back for tracking, hey, I ordered a week ago, where's my package at? You want to make sure that's a pleasant experience. You can just be like, okay, I'll email your tracking, or it's on the way, you'll have it in 2 days. Or you could simply respond with, I'm pulling it up right now. Thank you for being a valued customer. I noticed that your package is about 48 hours away. It's in Destin, Florida right now. It'll be to you, and it says a day or two. I'm going to go ahead and email you and text you the tracking number so you can check it yourself. I'm going to leave my name and my direct line on there as well. If you have any questions, if it doesn't get to you, call me first thing. I'll be sure to go ahead and follow up and track it. And if you're busy and you don't want to mess with it, here's my direct number. Just call me and I'll do all the dirty work for you.
Quality assurance right there.
I mean, it's the little things like that make the biggest fucking difference, and help you. It's not just about the sale. Obviously it's tracking. That's after the sale. That's post-sale. But they will remember that forever, and they will come back to you instead of going and purchasing from a competitor. Because as soon as they have a bad experience with a competitor, they will come back and they will remember that.
It's good insight. Good insight. You mentioned a nice fun meeting with your sales team, with your customer support team. But so let's say someone does some secret shopping. They find, like you said, half the calls are being answered. How do you get that motivation back up? What do you do? And then talk to us maybe about something I think we've talked about before called the perfect pitch. What are your thoughts on that?
I love the perfect pitch. Don't be stealing my words. I'm playing. Everybody can steal them and have them. There's a couple different ways to handle those meetings. I think back in the day, before I was a good leader, I used to use scare tactics. Do the job or lose the job. It's that simple. I have since changed, but that is one way to handle it if that's the way you run your business. Scare tactics should be the last option on the list. I think really making sure that your staff is properly trained and they know exactly what their scope of work is, what their expectations are. They fully understand how to use all of the softwares or the tools that they have to perform their job, that they know how to use them completely. Right, Ty? It's, you have to give them the tools. You have to train them the right way. They need to know what your expectations are. They need to know how to handle it. If you're not doing that, then it's your fault the shit isn't getting done. So you need to make sure as a business owner or running a department, whatever your position might be, CEO, COO, whatever it is, it's your responsibility. If shit isn't getting done the right way, it's your fault. You're lacking somewhere. And in the very rare case that it's not your fault and you just have a bad seed, then it's time to replace it.
Naturally.
But for the most part, it's your fault as a owner or CEO if the job is not getting done right. So, going back and retraining, having regular meetings about it, and actually going over the stats, because it's all on data. It was all stats. I pulled it up and showed them straight up. Look, there was 600 phone calls in the last 2 weeks, and this percentage got answered. This percentage went past a hold time of 2 minutes. That's not fucking acceptable. Mm-hmm. Now, but it's such good data that it's like, okay, is it my customer service's fault? Can they handle that many calls, or do I need to add another customer service rep?
Okay.
So it's insight for both of us. But anyhow, to kind of go back and answer the question, one thing I like to do always is incentivize people. So if y'all can get, right here, 600 phone calls, 25% of them had a longer wait time than 2 minutes. If y'all can get it down to where next month nobody has a longer than a 1 minute call time, which is very reasonable for this business model, and there's no missed calls during working operations, I'm going to give each one of y'all a $250 bonus.
Nice.
Or whatever that number is.
Right.
Incentivize them and reward them when they do good. It's easy to bash people and talk shit to them when they do bad, when half the time it's probably your fault in the first place. But it's anytime you can reward them when they're doing good, you can incentivize them. I mean, if you're getting your wait time less than a minute, you're not missing any phone calls for the course of a whole entire month, and you're typically doing 1,500 orders a month at an average of $100 price point, that's $150,000 a month. Versus what might have been $110,000. So you're making an extra $40,000 a month if your team is executing well. So break them off a couple grand and put it in their fucking pocket. If they're doing good and helping you achieve those goals, then go ahead and compensate them. Take care of them. And that is what I find to be the best way to incentivize people to not just do their job, but do it really well and go the extra mile and show that, look, we're all in this together. Company makes money, I make money, you make money, they make money, the customer's happy, they're going to come back and spend their money. It's truly a win-win-win for everybody. And when you can figure out that formulation in any business or any relationship, whether it's a employer-employee relationship, a business-client relationship, a B2B relationship, a freaking marriage, when it truly is a win-win, then that's when longevity starts to happen, and that's when everybody's happy.
Love it, man. So got a question for you. Let's talk about, I call it, we've had a conversation about it, the dead air that happens when questions are asked on. So let's say you're doing a call review and you're listening to those calls and someone asks a question and then the question's answered and then nothing. There's silence. I don't know.
It's not the perfect answer.
It's not the perfect answer. So how do you train on that? What do you say to your sales team? Because that dead time right there, it's not good.
It's always go back into the sale. I don't ever hard sell people, hard pitching, but anytime when people call in about a product or they're interested, product, service, whatever, and they want to buy, most likely they're going to have some questions. Mm-hmm. So when they ask a question, probably your FAQs, how much does X cost? Well, X cost this amount. These are two other price point options. And if you're trying to be more cost effective this month, here's a fourth price point option. And then I go back into the sale. Which one of these options would you like to take advantage of today?
Nice.
Or if they call, how does this product works? It works by XYZ. Would you like to go ahead and try this product out and get your order started? It's not a hard sell, but you're taking control of the conversation. You're answering their question, giving them the perfect answer. And these are all pre-scripted, whatever your business model is.
Right.
So you give them the perfect answer, or consider it a rebuttal, whatever you like, And then you go right back into the pitch, right back into the sale, right back into the close, whatever you want to call it. But I always answer a question by asking them a question. So it puts me back in control. It allows the ball to be in my court, and then I can send them in whatever direction I want to. So if they're saying, how does it work? I'm interested, I want to buy it, but how does it work? Well, this is how it works. Would you like to go ahead and try our monthly subscription? You can cancel anytime. If I'm trying to build my monthly subscriptions that month, then I'm going to push them in that direction. Well, this is how it works. And you know what? Maybe you'd be interested in our influencer program. Would you like to take advantage of a discount and join our influencer program today? So, one, I'm giving them a discount. I'm putting the ball back in my court, and I'm inviting them to become a part of my influencer program.
Nice. So
I didn't just answer their question where hoping it's a 50-50 shot that they buy it. I answered their question. I'm inviting them to a special influencer program. I'm giving them a discount. They're going to love me that much more instead of just saying, this is how it works.
That's great, man. So
it's always coming back at them. And all of this is pre-scripted.
Yeah.
And you should have your sales pitch pre-scripted. You should have your buttons pre-scripted. And then even going back into the sale, you should have 10 different items that you go back into the sale with. And the reason why you do that is so you can, one, point people in any direction that you want. But two, if you have this person ask you 5 different questions, you, at the end of every question, you don't want to say, okay, do you want to try our special? Okay, do you want to try our special? You want to use different, go back into the sales to where it doesn't sound like you're a freaking robot or reading a script.
Right. All right. Makes sense. Hey, man, we had a question come in from one of my buddies, Matthew. He had a little question about what's the difference in approach between B2C e-com digital marketing and business-to-business e-commerce digital marketing.
What is the difference between the two?
What is the difference in approach? He said the difference in approach.
It's a good question. I think a lot of it has to do with the business model. What is it that we're selling? Give me an example of something we're selling. I might be able to.
So let's see.
Well, I'll give you an example.
Okay, go for it.
Right now we're running a campaign for energy, Savant Energy. If you need electricity in Houston, commercial or residential, call Jeremy Gutierrez at Savant Energy Group. They'll get you taken care of. SavantEnergyServices.com. There's your plug. I'm going to use him as a perfect example. We're running some campaigns, and we're trying to attract, and this isn't a product, not necessarily e-commerce, but close enough example that I can think of. Unless, Matthew, you want to drop a line and let us know what business it is. So when we're doing the marketing out there, right now we're doing pay-per-click marketing, we're doing social media, advertising, media buying, whatever you want to call it. And we're putting ads on Facebook in front of business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, business execs. So let's just say I'm picking Houston execs between the ages of 35 and 60. And that's who we're putting the ads in front of. Mm-hmm. But I'm still finding that we're getting a shit ton of residential people. Even though I'm going after commercial, I'm getting a shit ton of people wanting to get quotes on their residential services.
Misalignment. So,
and there's really not a huge margin in residential for these campaigns we're running. This just doesn't happen to be a residential campaign that we want to run. We're trying to go after the big boys in the commercial. So we're having a lot of these business owners call in and ask about rates for the residential. So what we're trying to do with that is capitalize on the residential, but while we have them on the phone and have them engaged, we're asking them about their business model. They're a CEO, we're putting ads in front of them. So we also know that you're a business owner. What are you doing for your business? Who's running your electricity there? Maybe we can save you there. It's for the energy, for the electricity, it's been a tall task. I'm not going to lie. We're trying different strategies. Another example, going after hotels. We're going after, people that have large volume of kilowatts being used. So whether it's hotels or whatever, what we're doing is capturing the data of all these hotel owners, getting their email address, getting their phone numbers, and then what we're doing is we're retargeting to them specifically with ads. We're basically telling Facebook, look, every single person with this phone number, stick my ad in front of them. They are CEO of a hotel, they run a hotel. If I stick this ad in front of them and it says lower your hotel energy bill, that's a lot more targeted, pinpointed strategy than just putting a business ad or a energy ad in front of every entrepreneur. There's nothing pinpointed there. And most of them are thinking it's for their residences. So if I know I'm putting ads directly in front of a hotel person or a person that makes those decisions, an executive, I will make the ad directed towards hotel energy rates, cut them by 20%. Put that ad in front of them, they're more likely to convert than just stuff out to the masses, or at least they're more likely to convert from the business B2B side of things that I'm trying to do, not B2C. But if there's, you'd have to give me an example, dude.
Matthew, comment in if you can. I'll let him share what he's got going on. But sure. No, I think that's a good one. Maybe we'll get some more insight from Matthew. But let's keep moving here though. So in the earlier in the show, we kind of talked about setting your product up, starting a store. That's not just everything that e-commerce encompasses, right? Let's talk about client retention.
Okay.
Because I know you got a lot to share on client retention, and then I think maybe we'll talk about online platforms, because a lot of people, first thing, I mean, even for me, I think of Amazon. Boom. Yep. It's the first thing I go into. But first, let's talk about client retention. How does that fit into e-commerce? Because I know just setting up your store and maybe starting things off, maybe that's 10%. There's other 90% to focus on. There's other elements. So talk to us about client retention.
Yeah, there's... Sorry, we'll reiterate that I was in the ER from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m.
You're handling like a champ, though,
I had to make sure I showed up for you guys. I apologize for seeming like I might be a little bit off. This was sponsored by, who'd you say it was going to be sponsored by?
Sponsored by Pfizer today.
Pfizer. Dude, client retention's everything. And there's several typically you think client retention, okay, a client quits using me and then I need to get them back on. Mm-hmm. Or, make sure that you're offering a quality assurance, quality control so your clients don't leave in the first place.
Right.
But there's also, several different automated type ways of keeping clients engaged, keeping them on when they do fall off, reaching back out to them. And if you group each one of these as their own little entity and tie it to a percent, there are ways for you to look at it and convert that to a number. Before they become a client, drop cart emails,
Okay.
Abandoned cart emails, I guess is the correct terminology. But if somebody goes through to your website and they go to buy one of your products and they get most of the way through the system and they don't click buy now, well, you've captured all their information. So what we typically do is send them an email a day later, and this is all automated. The system does it for you. Hey, we noticed you left a few things in your shopping cart. Click here to buy it. Hey, you forgot this.
Right.
And try to get them to convert and buy it. If they don't buy it, 3 days later, we send them another one that's already pre-scripted and set up. If they don't buy after the first newsletter, then they receive another one 3 days later. Hey, just reminding you left this in your shopping cart. Click here to buy it and use this promo code to get 10% off. So now we're incentivizing them with a little bit of a discount. Or if they still don't buy, then maybe 20 days, 30 days later, we send them another one with a huge offer, 30% off, or buy one, get one free, or, buy this, get something else to come along with it.
Nice.
So that, the first one is, hey, you forgot. The second one's like, hey, you forgot, here's a little incentive. The third one is, hey, look, you really forgot. Let me give you a big incentive. I want to convert you to a client. And then if they don't convert after that, then they actually go into a different automated newsletter series, which is just your automated series that just provides them good quality content once a month.
Right.
So that is one form of client retention before you even get them as a client. monthly subscriptions. It is a perfect opportunity to create a residual business model or a recurring revenue stream that everybody should take advantage of. I don't care what industry you're in, what you're selling, product, service, anything. You always want to figure out how to create that revenue stream of a residual business model or recurring revenue. So you can entice people, and this is one of those you take a step back to take 2 steps forward. Mm-hmm. On my websites, when we sell items, if you purchase this product on a monthly subscription, you get a 10% discount automatically. So it's like join our premier box subscription plan and become a VIP, and you get 10% off every item by being a member of our VIP subscription plan. They feel special. They feel like they're a VIP member of whatever your program is. They get a 10% discount. They're freaking winning. So yeah, you might lose, 10% on that first deal, but now they're on a monthly subscription. So now you're going to get them to buy 3, 6, 8, 12 times before they drop off. And once you do this for 6 months, a year, you're going to know what your drop-off rate is. You're going to know what your average per month retention is per client based off your subscriptions. Right now, ours is basically 7 months. I typically, on average, I keep my clients on a residual income for 7 months. So, and you'll figure that out once you do this for a year, 2 years, 3 years, you'll be able to figure that out. So that is a huge one. And then the other thing that I love about that, which is client retention, you get notified when those clients drop off. And this is a very good nugget to anybody that's implementing this or has this already going, is when their card gets declined or they cancel their subscription or whatever the case is. And normally it's from a card getting declined, whether it's the code changing or the expiration date or they don't have the money, whatever the case might be. I have a retention department that every single day they call all of these clients that drop off. And their pitch is, hey, look, noticed that you don't want to say, hey, I saw your shit get declined and you got canceled, because they're going to be embarrassed. So you say, look, I noticed that your account moved to a holding pattern. Not sure if you put it on pause. A lot of our clients do that. Not a problem. Just wanted to reach out and see if you would just like us to extend the date, maybe give you a month or 2 break, and we'll go ahead and reenact it automatically. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to touch anything. We're just going to set it to run on the 15th of the month in 2 months. So would you like us to go ahead and have that activated for you? That way, one, you're not saying, hey, your shit declined, embarrassing them. Most likely it got declined because they can't afford it. When you say on the 15th, that's typically when people get paid. So you don't want to do first, because the first is when all your big bills come in. But if you can say, hey, we'll move it to the 16th of the month, 2 months from now, would you like me to keep it active for you? So that, because right now you're grandfathered into this VIP 10% rates. So instead of canceling it, let's just have it reactivate in 2 months. I won't touch your credit card for now and then. On the 16th, right after payday, it'll hit your card December 16th. Would you like to go ahead and stay on this VIP plan? Does that work for you? And if you change your mind between now and then, feel free to call me. We can pause it anytime you want. You can cancel this. You can pause it anytime you want. Do you want to go ahead and take advantage of that?
Smart tactic.
And I went right back into the sale.
I know you did. That was good.
So
man.
That's a form of client retention, but losing subscriptions should make up a minimum of 20% of your business. So let's just say, for easy numbers, we're doing $100,000 a month in sales. You set up a real good monthly subscription plan. Over the course of the next 12 months, you should jump up to 120. If you then integrate or launch a loyalty program where people get, points, it's going to bring them back to the website. So you get them to come in, get those points. That should increase your revenues or that stream, because you already have these clients engaged. You're doing something special for them. That should give you a 5 to 10% increase in revenues for the year. So on the low end, let's say 5. So you went from 100 grand to 120. Now you're at 125. The drop-off rate, the 7-month drop-off rate that we have for subscriptions, when you have your client retention, calling them and saving them, I count that as, basically a new sale, a new revenue stream. But that can help you maintain your 20%. It can increase it. We'll just kind of leave that alone for right now.
Okay. All right. Before we move on to online platforms, and I think I want to end with talking about online platforms. Excuse me. We've talked about a lot of success with you. We talked about, especially that client retention, those nuggets, they were pretty powerful. And I think we were working together. I remember looking over the shoulder, and you guys had it was like your abandoned cart rate for getting them actually getting a successful sale on that. The figure was just like unbelievable. I forget what percentage it was. I know it was double than the average, which was just like madness to me.
So we didn't even get into influencers or affiliate programs I couldn't even any of
those figures. I was like, oh, maybe it needs to be optimized. I don't even know what I would optimize with that figure. But let's talk about the downside, man. What happened? You had something happen in e-commerce where I think a couple of things economically came into play. Like, give us a little background, man, of what happened with that.
Man, there's 2 of them. Biohack Pure, the supplement company. The firearm business was most recent. So you trying to call me out?
What I'm trying to do, I think it's interesting to talk about, because let's just, I kind of want to focus on the firearm business, because
you were there back in those days.
And not only that, you see some like you see stuff happening with CBD. You may see stuff happen in the marijuana industry. I mean, there's tons of stuff, man.
At the end of the day, it's real life. It was a real business.
Exactly.
And I have absolutely no problem talking about it. And it was still a very successful business model, and it still is today. If y'all looking for firearms, customization, Cerakotes, go to strack.com or Cerakoters.com. And if you type in Cerakote Houston, both of those websites will show up in the number 1 and number 2 position on Google.
Fact check that 2 weeks ago, guys. Check the video.
Yeah. Data don't lie.
Data don't lie. That's right.
All right. So I won't get into the story of why I got into the gun business, but that'll be a whole nother podcast. And where are we at? An hour?
Yeah. We're right at an hour.
All right, cool. So we got about 30 more minutes before I got to go take some meds and a nap. All right, so I started a gun company.
Yeah.
There was 3 pillars to my business. And the reason why a short story of why I got into it is I couldn't find anybody to paint my gun, which is called Cerakote. Mm-hmm. I couldn't find anybody to Cerakote my gun. Everybody that I talked to was fucking yeehaw hillbillies that had a 60-day turnaround that I wasn't going to go trust leaving a several $1,000 firearm or 2 or 3 with them. Long turnarounds. When I did come to local shops to talk to people about customizing ARs, I loved ARs, wanted to get some, wanted to pimp them out. But there's, I learned so much now, but there's so much to know what's good, what's not, what works. Just the different types of key mod rails, the different rails in the holes. You can buy a whole rail system and then buy all the different parts, attachments. You're using the wrong attach for the wrong rail. I mean, and I did this, and I threw away hundreds and hundreds of dollars trying to learn how to build my own first ARs. And when I would go to gun shops or I'd call people or talk to them, they were all cocky as shit. I mean, a lot of people in the gun business just, they got big heads, and a lot of them are rude, to be quite honest, at least the ones I was dealing with before I owned a gun shop. And so I wanted to build a gun shop that offered Cerakote, because I knew if I bought all the equipment and saw the market saturation or the lack of, saw that nobody was doing it, saw that there was 2,800 searches a month for Cerakote in Houston, I was like, well, shit, if I can get all that business, I can make 20 grand a month just painting guns. And so now, excuse me, in addition to that, I want to customize firearms where people walk in and they want an AR. It's like a Chipotle. You pick your upper and lower set. You pick your lights, your lasers, your grips, your butt stocks, your caliber. You pick it. We build it. You test fire it. You take it home with you. Basically, a la carte, Chipotle style, however you want to look at it. So those were going to be my two business models that I was going to have here in the shop. Well, I guess they are here in the shop. Right down the street if you need a gun. Those were the localized businesses. I saw the void. I saw the opportunity. So I wanted to capitalize on that financially for Cerakoting. I wanted to actually put nice people in a gun shop setting to handle people that were like myself, executives that would spend thousands and thousands of dollars on guns and not walk into a gun store and be made to feel like a fucking idiot.
Right.
Or like you're inadequate or incompetent or you're dumb because you don't know X, Y, and Z. I wanted to be different. I wanted to have a shop that catered to people specifically that were like that. Dude, I'm sorry about my voice, bro. That's what happens when you get sick. The third thing was actually where my main revenue stream was going to be. It was, we basically set up an online marketplace and automated it. So I built a website. I put 10,000 components on there for guns, firearms, anything related from ammo to accessories to apparel to firearms themselves. There was 10,000 plus items on this website. That website connected directly to 3 different distributors that fed the quantities, the availabilities directly to that website. So when people would go to this website, they would buy something, it would send a signal to the distributor would drop ship it to the client, they would get their firearm, the money would go in my account, and I'm basically just a website middleman. I don't ever touch it, I don't see it. The only thing I need to do is have customer service for when people call in to ask questions.
Right.
So that's why I also did the gun shop and the Cerakote shop, because I had hired trained gunsmiths and people that knew a lot of stuff about all these different items. So the local shops, yes, they were meant to bring in revenues, but the real goal of that was to have in-house customer service reps that really knew their shit about everything related to the gun industry. So that's kind of how that automation worked. All I had to do is market and advertise the website, make it pop up first on Google, put it on Google ads, do some video marketing, do some social media ads, stick it in front of gun lovers, and it was game time. And so that completed the circle. I market it, the people go to the website, they buy, it gets shot directly from the distributor to the client. It's just a well-oiled machine. All I have to do is make my website pop up in front of people that like guns, and it's game over. And that was going to be an 8-figure business model. That was going to be the big boy. But it didn't happen. It got started. It got launched. It's still there right now. Go to strack.com. You'll see it.
It happens, man. You know, that's.
You want to know why it didn't happen?
Let's tell us why it didn't happen.
So this bright idea of building the shop came to me right before the election when Hillary was going to be the president. And gun business was going crazy. Everybody was getting scared because she was going to win. Gun manufacturers produced hundreds and hundreds of thousands of guns, all the main manufacturers. And at that time, the average ticket on a AR platform was in the $1,200 to $2,500 range. So as soon as Trump took office and surprised everybody, most people didn't care about buying guns anymore because you got a Republican in office. And all of these gun manufacturers that produced hundreds of thousands of guns, to monetize that before she took office or when she did take office, because there's normally a little bit of time frame before they shut it all down, they're all sitting on inventory of hundreds of thousands of guns. And it basically dropped the price point from $1,500 down to $500 for easy numbers. They couldn't give ARs away ARs away. I mean, the best companies, SIGs and Bushmasters and Colts, and I mean, all these companies couldn't give ARs away. So when all that happened, my 3 pillars of business kind of got rid of the build your own firearm, because when they were going to come in and build their own firearm, it was going to be a $1,500 to $3,000 price point. And most people aren't willing to pay that much if they can just run up to Academy and buy one for $500.
Right.
It wouldn't be all decked out and have the bells and whistles. It wouldn't be custom. But, you know, at that time, people really weren't interested in spending that type of money. So I lost one of my pillars, the BYOG, build your own gun. Like that, huh?
I like that.
BYOG, baby. But it did help me with the Cerakote side of things, because now people were buying 4 and 5 guns at a time at that $500 price point. So it's like, okay, you got 5 guns. Why not make them look a little bit different than the other? Let's put a camo pattern on it. Let's, you know, paint one the color of your sports team, or, you know, you get real custom and do some real cool shit.
I think he had Captain America one that I liked.
Man, we did Captain
ridiculous.
America. Nintendo's. Dude, we did it all. I think we've done just about everything out there. So I was down to 2 pillars. I was down to the online website where people were going to buy online.
Right.
That was going to be the big money maker. And then I had the Cerakote gun shop. And we still customize and build guns for people. It wasn't as popular as we had originally anticipated, had that election gone the other way. So shortly after that, there was, I can't remember what it was offhand. There was something substantial that happened that started censorship. And then, I mean, all within about 2 months, there was school shootings, there was church shootings, there was terrorist attacks. There was just a lot of stuff going on related to guns. And that's when, you know, people on the left started making a big fuss about it, including the owners of these big companies who are responsible for everything online. Your Google, Facebook, Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, YouTube, which is owned by Google. All of these places that we typically use to advertise and make ads pop up for the gun business. You know, we're going to do DIY videos, how to use this firearm, how to attach the scope to this rail, how to install a buttstock, how to build a AR, how to do this, how to do that. There was thousands of DIY videos or how-to videos we were going to do. We were also going to do unboxing, you know, where it's, look at this new gun that came in. We're going to unbox it and show you everything that comes with it. Or we're going to take you to the range and test fire and shoot and compare 3 different guns to each other and do it in a video and show you which 3. You figure out which one you want, and then you buy it from us. And we were going to basically start these video marketing campaigns with all of the 10,000 parts that we sold on our website. And we optimize those to show up first on YouTube. We optimize them, then pay to get them to advertise on social media, and we build videos there. We do pay-per-click campaigning to bring them to the website, to those videos, to the ads, to our YouTube, all of that. And so that was our vehicle, or those were our vehicles to advertise the online gun business. Well, right at that time, everybody decides gun censorship. You can no longer advertise guns or sell anything gun related on Amazon, which was a huge marketplace for us. You can't post any videos, or there's certain types of videos, which were most of them, that you can't promote or push on YouTube. You can't advertise on any social media channel. You can't advertise on any Google platform or any of Google's partners. It's basically our hands were tied. Every way that I know how to market a business and put it online and get it to the top of Google and start selling items for the fast growth I was talking about earlier, my hands were tied. I couldn't do any of them. I couldn't do videos and put them on YouTube. I couldn't do Facebook ads. I couldn't do Google. I couldn't do shit. And it's like, why fight an uphill battle?
And that's right there, guys. That's why we're talking about this, because while it's censorship yesterday, you got today with COVID. You got today with storefronts that can't sell. They can't do that. They're forced to try out other stuff. So I think it's such a great story to hear that. It's sad that happened naturally, because that I mean, if you look at your success, what you had with it, I mean, it was gonna be there, man. It was gonna work.
I mean, Strack, and this is probably 3 years ago when we launched, Strack now does show up organically for many of the gun components. We're actually about to change it up, though. Luckily, fortunately, the Cerakote that we launched, Ceracoders, because we're number one on Google, and we did such great volume of business, the company was still viable. It was very profitable. It was making great money. I made my money back year one, and then the rest had been profit. I actually ended up selling it about December of 2018 to a great group of guys, sold them majority interest. I still own a very small piece just for the perks and the fun of it.
Nice.
The dudes, Edwin and Tim, dudes do a great fucking job. And if you do need anything custom built or customized, go see them, strack.com or ceracoders.com. With what I was building with my companies and my brands and my supplement companies that were already 7-figure businesses, Ceracoders was bringing in great money. I think year one we did $250,000. I think year two was a little bit jump up from that. So it was great money. It was great income. Still a success story, but it just wasn't successful enough for me to take my bandwidth away from what I was building.
Absolutely.
The build your own gun part of it, BYOG, that was a cool part of it, but the cash cow was going to be what I do is e-commerce. And when that e-commerce got taken away from me for censorship, I had to make the decision, it's better to cut my losses now and get out of this business model instead of trying to figure out, when your hands are tied and you have so much censorship, sometimes it's better to cut your losses and move on. Fortunately, my losses were still a gain to where I got my money back and then some, but it still wasn't enough profit for me to continue in that business model. Hence, that's why I sold it to a great group of guys that falls more in line with them. They're, I won't get into the details about them. Great guys, go check them out. But still a successful business model. It just wasn't financially rewarding enough to take away my bandwidth, and that's why I decided to cut those losses and sell it.
Makes sense, man. Makes sense. Well, thanks so much for sharing that story, man. I mean, I know it's...
Now, I can tell you about Biohack Pure, where I lost about $250,000 launching a company, and it was ahead of its time, so it didn't take off, and probably dropped about $250,000 over 3 years.
Oh man,
that was one of my losses. Yeah. I won't get into the details.
Well, yeah, we'll keep that one for another day. That one
stung.
We'll keep that one for another day. But I think our last thing we're covering, then I think we'll close out for the day is. Let's just close this last thing off. Talking about positive note, I want to talk about online platforms. Everybody thinks about Amazon automatically, but what happens when you want to ship internationally? Because I know things can get a little sticky of where you want to kind of put your products at. But talk about online platforms and maybe some other places to go outside of Amazon that people may not know about.
Yeah, first I'll talk to the international shipping. International shipping took me years to figure out, learning the hard way. Mm-hmm. That alone can cost you so much money in duties and taxes. It can ruin your customer service or your reviews by people not actually getting their products, then wanting to return them, and then wanting refunds. And it gets so expensive where you're like, look, just keep it and I'll refund you. And it eats into your profit margins. When I first launched our supplement company, first year, we were in 150 countries after year one. When I looked at the data and added, and some of those aren't considered countries, they're considered, I don't know, parliaments. What else do they call them?
I don't know.
So anyhow, it was, we were sold in all these countries, but I looked at the numbers, and let's just say easy numbers, on $100,000, we're only making $1,000 off of international. Yet I was returning $2,500 in returns. So it didn't make sense to do international because I was losing money on it. And that's when did some research and learned about another online platform, eBay, which everybody should know about eBay. eBay had what was called their international shipping policy. So the cool thing about that is eBay would ship the product internationally for me. So if anybody went through eBay, bought my product, and I was a part of their international shipping policy, I would just ship the goods to eBay, and then eBay would be responsible for getting it overseas.
Very nice.
They paid my price. They paid whatever eBay required for customs and shippings and duties and taxes, whatever the hell they call it these days. And eBay took on that responsibility. So it saved me, one, getting it there efficiently, and then not making me look like an asshole. Or if somebody left a negative review on my page, eBay would actually go and remove it because that was part of the policy. So eBay became a great revenue stream for me for all of my international for a good 2 to 3 years. It wasn't until more apps started coming out. There's ShipStation. Shopify has some of their own integrations that we're actually jumping over to. There's a handful. I can't even think what they are off the top of my head. But now, over the last 3 years, shipping has really gone to the next level, especially right now with everything going on with COVID.
Right.
Everybody's shipping everywhere. So people are fast-tracking that automation. Some of the other, so shipping can eat your lunch, international shipping. Mm-hmm. So you need to find a good third-party app, software, know how to integrate those to your website so it does it automatically, and you're charging the client on the front end, not on the back end. Because if you just, let's say your product's $10, somebody buys it for $10, it gets shipped to them, it's waiting at customs, and customs says, well, there's a $30 tax and duty fee. Well, the thing only costs $10. Yep, I don't care, but you got to pay $30 to get into the country.
Right.
They're like, well, shit, I don't want it. And then they call us and say, I want a refund. I didn't get it. It's like, nah, bro. I mean, you bought it.
Yeah.
It's part of our policies and terms. You should know better. But then they still go leave you a bad review anyways.
Right.
So to negate that, you end up just refunding their money for $10 because it's not worth $10 to have a shitty review out there. And so we learned real quickly, let's charge duties and taxes on the front end. But the only way to know how to do that properly towards the right number and you're not losing is by getting certain third-party integrations or APIs that calculate all that for you.
Nice.
So international shipping, you can ship worldwide to most countries. You just want to make sure you set it up the right way, using the right softwares, the right apps, the right companies, so that it's all trackable and it gets to where it's supposed to be going and you don't lose a bunch of money. Moving to different platforms. Amazon we mentioned, eBay we mentioned. There's one called wish.com, which is a good one to be on. Bonanza.com, Walmart. Walmart's trying to make a big play right now. So you want to get on walmart.com. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot more with this whole COVID thing where everybody's going to start going online.
Yeah.
And there's a few other little small ones out there. I can't even think what they are off the top of the head. But Google Shopping, if you go type in a product where the Google Shopping is, if you look at that banner and start clicking on those or look at the names underneath those will tell you what all the popular online marketplaces are. We typically... A majority is done through Amazon, and Amazon can make up anywhere from 20 to 50% of a revenue stream or income for you. So earlier when I was talking about selling $100,000 a month on the website,
right?
If you do an affiliate program, it can jump you up another 5 to 10%. If you do an influencer program, it can jump you up another 20 to 30%. You add a monthly residual or monthly subscription model, it can jump you up another 20%. You sell on Amazon, it can jump you up another 30%. You know, you start implementing some of these client retention things we're talking about in the different platforms and all the stuff we've been covering. You go from $100,000 to $180,000 a month just by bringing new things. At the very beginning, we're talking about you just build a website, put a product on it, connect it to a merchant, sell it. You're e-com. Yeah, you are. But like I was saying, I can immediately double your sales by bringing in all these other things that I was just talking about. So that's why you want to be on those platforms. Typically, Amazon and eBay are going to be your top two. Then it'll be like Walmart, Wish, Bonanza. Some of the others will be a very small, minute share of that. And then honestly, I used to say it's better to be on all of them than one or two of them. But then you got to look at your bandwidth. Wish.com, for an example. I was on Wish for about 3 years, or maybe about 2 years. We were doing, let's just say, $1,000 a month in sales. I was spending more bandwidth managing that process, that API, the customer service, the returns, the marketing, the advertising,
right.
the always updating to the algorithm and optimizing it. It wasn't worth the $1,000 I was making, so I turned it off.
Sure.
And when it gets smarter and the algorithm gets wiser, then I might turn that switch back on. But you have to, it's all part of A/B testing. You test it, see what works. If it makes sense, do it. And if it doesn't, peace out.
Yeah. Jonathan Weisman spitting fire again today on e-commerce.
JWeis.
Man, that's all I got for you today.
Good, man, because
we're happy to have you here today.
Yeah,
you know,
it's all about, look, when I say I'm going to do something,
yeah,
even if I was in the fucking ER from 3 a.m. to 6 something, I got my ass up here to do this.
We should have Hector. You should have stayed there, and then we could have just brought
the camera to the hospital.
To the hospital.
That'd have been
great. There.
Well, I had commitments to you,
yeah,
to my staff, and to these people watching.
That's right. And 2 weeks, we're going to be back again in 2 weeks. I'm excited. We're going to be talking about more stuff. But today, again, we had questions on e-commerce. If you have more questions, drop them in the comment section below. Send them over to Jonathan Weisman. Send them to myself, Aaron Morellis. And you got anything else for us, man?
That's it, man. Really appreciate y'all tuning in every other Friday. We're here, JWeis Live, answering questions about anything related to business. My goal is to give back and lend any nuggets of knowledge that I can to help you build, scale your business, cut overhead, anything. So if you ever have any questions, you can ask them in the comments when you see the promo videos, or you can shoot DMs if you want to remain anonymous to myself or Aaron at any time. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and we will see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you, guys.